Commander Diana Rhodes stood at the viewport of the HS Prometheus, watching the stars blur past as her ship maintained its patrol route along the Perseus Arm. The experimental vessel represented humanity's best-kept secret, a warship that appeared outdated on the surface but contained technological innovations that would make any advanced civilization pause, if they knew about them. "Commander," Lieutenant Raj Patel's voice carried across the bridge, multiple signatures dropping out of FTL. Configuration unknown, but they're big. His dark eyes remained fixed on the sensor display, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Diana straightened her uniform and nodded. "Show me." The main display flickered to life, revealing 7 vessels that seemed to be crafted from liquid mercury and starlight. Their hulls rippled with energy patterns that suggested heavily shielded weapon systems, all energy-based, of course. Like every other spacefaring race humanity had encountered, these newcomers had apparently abandoned kinetic weapons centuries ago. "They're hailing us," Communications Officer Yuki Tanaka reported, her expression neutral but her posture tense. "Their language matches nothing in our database, but the universal translator is adapting." "Put them through," Diana ordered, settling into her command chair. The alien that appeared on the screen had 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Its eyes, all 6 of them, were arranged in a hexagonal pattern around what appeared to be a sensory cluster. "Greetings, primitive vessel." The alien's translated voice carried the same patronizing tone Diana had heard from countless other species. "I am Supreme Commander Vexthor of the Nexari Confederation. We have come to evaluate your species for potential inclusion in our empire." Diana bit back a smile. "Welcome to Earth-controlled space, Supreme Commander. I'm Commander Diana Rhodes of the Human Space Service vessel Prometheus. Our scans indicate your vessel relies on obsolete kinetic weapon systems," Vexthor observed, mandibles clicking in what Diana had learned to recognize as amusement from similar species. "Surely you must realize the inefficiency of such archaic technology." "We're quite comfortable with our current armament," Diana replied diplomatically. Behind her, she could hear Tactical Officer James O'Neill trying not to snicker. They'd played this game before. "Comfort with obsolescence is the mark of a species unsuited for advancement," Vexthor declared. "Perhaps a demonstration of superior technology would help you understand. Observe." One of the smaller Nexari vessels moved forward, its hull brightening as energy weapons charge. Diana watched calmly as the alien ship fired a plasma bolt into a nearby asteroid, reducing it to superheated vapor in seconds. "Impressive," Diana acknowledged, maintaining her poker face. "Though I notice your demonstration required you to move into weapons range. Range is irrelevant when operating at our level of technological advancement." Vexthor dismissed her observation. "Your primitive projectile weapons would be detected and neutralized long before they could reach our vessels." Diana shared a knowing look with her tactical officer. The Nexari, like so many others, assumed humanity's reliance on kinetic weapons was born of technological limitation rather than strategic choice. They never considered that perhaps there was a reason humans hadn't abandoned primitive technology, despite having access to the same energy weapon designs as everyone else. "Supreme Commander," Diana said carefully, "I should inform you that you've crossed into restricted space. I'm going to have to ask you to withdraw your vessels." Vexthor's skin rippled with patterns that the translator interpreted as condescending amusement. "You mistake our presence for a request, Commander Rhodes. We are here to evaluate your species, and we shall do so. Resistance would be—" He paused for effect. "Inadvisable." Diana sighed, reaching for the small control panel on her command chair. "That's unfortunate. We really would have preferred to do this diplomatically." Her finger hovered over a discrete button. "Lieutenant Patel, are they still scanning us?" "Yes, Commander. Their active sensors are quite powerful. Very thorough." "Perfect." Diana allowed herself a small smile. "You know, Supreme Commander, there's an old saying on Earth. What you see isn't always what you get." Before Vexthor could respond, Diana pressed the button. Throughout the Prometheus, hidden systems hummed to life as the ship's true nature revealed itself. Panels that had appeared to be simple hull plating reconfigured, exposing rows of sophisticated weapon ports. But these weren't the energy weapons the Nexeri would have expected. Tactical, Diana ordered. Deploy the Atlas grid. Around the Prometheus, dozens of seemingly innocuous maintenance drones activated, forming a complex network of synchronized platforms. Each drone carried what appeared to be simple mining equipment, technology the Nexeri scans would have dismissed as harmless. "What is this?" Vex Thor demanded, his earlier confidence wavering slightly as his sensors detected the changing configuration of the human vessel. "This," Diana replied, "is why we keep our primitive weapons. You see, energy weapons are wonderful things, elegant, powerful, and clean. But they have one significant weakness. They're predictable. Every race that develops them follows similar principles of physics. They all work in fundamentally the same way." O'Neill's console beeped. "Atlas grid is online, Commander. All platforms synchronized. The thing about humans," Diana continued, "is that we never really abandoned any technology. We just got better at hiding it. Those kinetic weapons you detected, they're real, but they're not our only option. Your scans showed you exactly what we wanted you to see, and nothing more." The Atlas grid began to pulse with electromagnetic energy, creating a complex interference pattern that played havoc with the Nexeri ship's sensitive sensor systems. Their energy weapons, dependent on precise targeting data, suddenly found themselves trying to lock onto a target that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. "This is your final warning, Supreme Commander," Diana stated firmly. "Withdraw your vessels, or we will be forced to demonstrate exactly why humanity maintains such a diverse arsenal." On the screen, Vex Thor's color patterns shifted rapidly, the equivalent, Diana guessed, of a human turning pale. The Supreme Commander had just realized that his fleet, for all its advanced technology, was facing something they had never trained for, an enemy who had mastered both the old and the new, the primitive and the advanced, and found ways to make them work together in ways no one had imagined possible. The game was about to change, and everyone on the bridge of the Prometheus knew it. The only question was whether the Nexeri would be wise enough to recognize their mistake before learning the hard way why humanity's outdated arsenal was anything but primitive. Supreme Commander Vex Thor's response came not in words but in actions. The Nexeri fleet's formation shifted, their ships' iridescent hulls pulsing with barely contained energy as they spread out to surround the Prometheus. "They're charging weapons," O'Neill reported calmly. "All ships. Their energy signatures are interesting. They're trying to modulate their frequencies to punch through our Atlas grid." Commander Rhodes nodded, impressed despite herself. "Quick learners. Lieutenant Patel, status of the nearby patrol groups. Strike groups Artemis and Orion are maintaining position just outside their sensor range. The Nexeri haven't detected them yet." Patel's fingers danced across his console. "The electromagnetic shadow from the Atlas grid is masking their approach vectors perfectly." The massive view screen flickered as Vex Thor's image reappeared. His color patterns had stabilized, but there was a new intensity to his six-eyed gaze. "Your deception is noteworthy, Commander Rhodes. However, you cannot genuinely believe a single vessel, regardless of its hidden capabilities, can stand against a Nexeri battle fleet." "Single vessel." Diana allowed herself a small smile. "Supreme Commander, deception isn't just about hiding your strengths. Sometimes it's about drawing attention exactly where you want it." As if on cue, space itself seemed to ripple around the Nexeri fleet. The Atlas grid's electromagnetic interference suddenly shifted, creating corridors of clarity through which the Nexeri sensors could suddenly detect 24 additional human ships closing in from multiple vectors. The incoming vessels were smaller than the Prometheus, but their formation was precise, practiced. "Strike groups, weapons free," Diana commanded. Show them why we never abandoned the basics. The space between the ships erupted in a symphony of destruction that would have made Earth's ancient naval commanders proud. The human vessels launched volleys of what appeared to be simple kinetic projectiles, but as the Nexari's energy shields flared to life to vaporize them, the projectiles split apart, revealing themselves as carrier platforms for hundreds of smaller, targeted weapons. Their shields are calibrated for energy weapons, O'Neill reported with professional satisfaction. They're having to reconfigure on the fly to deal with physical impacts. Efficiency down to 60% and dropping. The Nexari fleet's response was immediate and fierce. Space lit up with energy beams and plasma torpedoes, but the human ships were already moving, their formations shifting in ways that seemed chaotic, until one realized they were using the Atlas grid's interference patterns as cover. Fascinating. Vex Thor's voice carried genuine surprise. You've weaponized electromagnetic interference itself. The grid isn't just for sensor disruption. It's a combat multiplier. Among other things, Diana confirmed. You see, Supreme Commander, humanity learned long ago that true technological advancement isn't about abandoning the old for the new. It's about finding ways to make everything work together. The battle continued to evolve as both sides adapted. The Nexari ships demonstrated their technological superiority with weapons that could have reduced planets to ash. But those same weapons proved increasingly less effective as the human fleet continued to leverage their multi-layered approach to warfare. When a Nexari cruiser's shields finally buckled under the combined assault of kinetic impactors and electromagnetic warfare, the response from the alien fleet was immediate. Their formation contracted, adopting a defensive posture that spoke volumes about their revised assessment of human military capabilities. Commander, Vex Thor's voice had lost its patronizing edge, replaced by something approaching professional respect. Perhaps we should discuss terms. I'm listening, Diana replied, even as she gestured for her tactical officers to maintain battle readiness. A temporary cessation of hostilities. My fleet will withdraw to a distance of 1 light year. In exchange, I request a full diplomatic meeting to reassess our initial evaluation of your species. Diana considered the offer. The battle had demonstrated humanity's capabilities without revealing all their cards, exactly as planned. Agreed with one condition. The diplomatic meeting happens on neutral ground with equal representation. Acceptable, Vex Thor agreed. His skin patterns shifted to what the translator suggested was a formal diplomatic mode. You have given us much to consider, Commander Rhodes. Our assumptions about technological progression may have been limited. As the Nexari fleet began their withdrawal, Diana turned to her bridge crew. Well done, everyone. But stay alert. This is just the beginning. They'll be back, and next time, they'll be better prepared. Let them come, O'Neill grinned. We've still got plenty of surprises left. Diana watched the alien ships disappear into FTL, knowing that humanity's reputation among the galactic powers was about to change dramatically. The Nexari had arrived expecting to find a primitive civilization clinging to outdated technology. Instead, they discovered that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their arsenal. It was their ability to take everything they'd learned throughout their history of warfare and combine it in ways no one else had imagined. The next diplomatic meeting would be very interesting indeed. The diplomatic meeting station hung in space like a glittering diamond, its neutral territory status marked by the flags of a dozen species. Inside, Commander Diana Rhodes sat across from Supreme Commander Vex Thor, their respective delegations arranged behind them. The tension in the room was palpable. Your tactical innovations are impressive, Vex Thor conceded, his iridescent skin rippling with diplomatic patterns. But surely you must see that escalation is inevitable. The Nexari Confederation has spent millennia perfecting our energy weapon technologies. Diana leaned forward, her expression neutral. And yet, your perfect technology didn't predict our response. Tell me, Supreme Commander, have you figured out why we let your initial scans detect our kinetic weapons? Before Vexthor could respond, the station's alert system blared to life. A junior Nexeri officer burst into the room, color patterns flashing in obvious distress. Supreme Commander, our long-range sensors detect multiple human fleet movements. They're everywhere. Diana's comm unit chimed. Right on schedule, she murmured, then addressed Vexthor. I believe this concludes our diplomatic session. You might want to return to your ships. The journey back to their respective fleets was tense. As Diana stepped onto the Prometheus's bridge, the tactical display told the story. Dozens of human battle groups had emerged from carefully hidden positions throughout the sector, each one implementing a different combination of traditional and advanced warfare techniques. Status report, Diana commanded, settling into her chair. Lieutenant Patel's fingers flew across his console. Operation Chimera is proceeding as planned. The Nexeri are responding exactly as predicted. They're splitting their forces to counter what they perceive as our main thrust. They still think we're relying primarily on kinetic weapons and electromagnetic warfare, O'Neill added with a slight smile. They haven't detected the quantum entanglement arrays yet. Diana nodded. The arrays were humanity's true masterpiece, a technology that even the Nexeri hadn't developed. While other races had abandoned quantum research as too unstable for weapons applications, humanity had persisted, finding ways to combine it with their primitive systems. The space around them erupted into chaos as the battle began in earnest. This time, the Nexeri were ready for the Atlas grid's electromagnetic interference. Their ships launched salvos of multiphasic energy weapons designed to punch through the electromagnetic corridors. Now, Diana ordered quietly. Throughout the human fleet, hidden systems activated. The quantum entanglement arrays came online, creating microsecond perfect coordination between every human vessel. What had appeared to be scattered battle groups suddenly moved with impossible precision, their formations shifting in ways that defied traditional space combat doctrine. They're activating their new shield configurations, Paddle reported, designed specifically to counter our kinetic weapons. Perfect. Diana allowed herself a small smile. Deploy the resonance torpedoes. The human fleet launched what appeared to be another volley of conventional missiles. The Nexeri shields flared, ready to repel the primitive weapons, and then the torpedoes activated their quantum cores. Each impact point corresponded perfectly with its quantum-entangled partner, creating a cascade of synchronized shield failures across the Nexeri fleet. By the eternal stars, Vexthor's voice crackled across the command channel. What is this technology? This, Diana replied, is why we maintain our diverse arsenal. While you were perfecting energy weapons, we were learning to combine technologies in ways no one else considered. Those primitive kinetic weapons, their delivery systems, Supreme Commander. The real weapon is how we use everything together. The battle continued to unfold like a deadly dance. The Nexeri ships demonstrated remarkable adaptability, their advanced energy weapons shifting frequencies and patterns to counter each human strategy. But for every adaptation they made, the human fleet revealed another layer of their hybrid warfare doctrine. Quantum-guided kinetic rounds phased through shields calibrated for energy weapons. Electromagnetic pulses synchronized through quantum entanglement created overlapping fields of disruption that even the most advanced Nexeri sensors couldn't penetrate. Traditional missiles carried payloads that combined old-school explosives with quantum state disruption fields. Their flagship's defenses are failing, O'Neill reported. We have a clear shot. Diana keyed her comm. This is Commander Rhodes to all vessels. Hold fire. She opened a channel to Vexthor's ship. Supreme Commander, I suggest we end this now. Your losses will be severe if we continue. There was a long pause before Vexthor responded. When he did, his voice carried a new tone, one of genuine respect. Perhaps we should revisit our earlier diplomatic discussions, with a new understanding of each other's capabilities. As the Nexeri fleet stood down, Diana reflected on the irony of the situation. The Nexeri had arrived believing humanity's diverse arsenal was a sign of technological backwardness. Instead, they discovered that humanity's greatest strength lay not in abandoning the old for the new, but in finding ways to make everything work together in ways no one else had imagined. "Stand down to condition yellow," she ordered her crew, "but maintain quantum entanglement synchronization. The real negotiations are about to begin." The following days transformed the neutral station into a showcase of human ingenuity. Under strict security protocols, Diana and her team had set up demonstrations of humanity's integrated warfare systems. The Nexeri delegation, led by a now humbled Vex Thor, moved from display to display with growing amazement. "Observe," Lieutenant Paddle explained, standing before a holographic simulation. "Each layer of our defense systems works in concert with the others." The display showed a complex dance of kinetic weapons guided by quantum calculations, their trajectories weaving through electromagnetic fields in patterns that seemed to defy physics. Vex Thor's 6 eyes blinked in sequence, but the power requirements, the computational complexity, that's where most races went wrong. Diana interjected, joining them. They assumed quantum systems needed massive power supplies. We took a different approach, using quantum entanglement to coordinate smaller, more efficient systems across multiple platforms. The demonstration continued, revealing how humanity had developed technologies that other races had dismissed as impossible or impractical. Traditional railguns enhanced by quantum-guided targeting systems, electromagnetic shields that could redirect energy weapons back at their sources, missiles that existed in multiple quantum states until the moment of impact. "Your species," Vex Thor observed, his skin patterns showing deep thought, "never actually stopped developing energy weapons, did you?" Diana smiled. "No, we just developed them differently. While other races focused on raw power, we explored precision and synchronization. Why build one massive energy cannon when you can have 1,000 smaller weapons firing in perfect quantum-synchronized harmony?" The station's main observation deck had been converted into a tactical command center, displaying real-time data from ongoing joint exercises between human and Nexeri ships. The aliens were learning quickly, adapting their advanced energy weapons to work in concert with human tactics. "Commander," O'Neill called from his station, "the Artemis group is ready for the final demonstration." Diana nodded. "Supreme Commander, would you care to observe what happens when we fully integrate our defense systems?" The tactical display showed a group of human ships facing a simulated attack from multiple vectors. As the exercise began, the vessels seemed to blur, their movements coordinated with impossible precision. Energy weapons, kinetic rounds, and electromagnetic pulses worked in perfect symphony, creating a defense grid that nothing could penetrate. "Remarkable," Vex Thor breathed. "Your ships move as one. Quantum entanglement allows for instant communication and coordination," Diana explained. "But it's the integration of old and new technologies that makes it effective. Each system compensates for the other's weaknesses." A junior Nexeri officer approached, their color patterns showing excitement. "Supreme Commander, our analysis team has completed their review of the human tactical databases they shared. Their historical warfare archives. They've been systematically adapting and improving every weapon system they've ever developed." "Not just weapons," Diana corrected. "Tactics, strategies, even basic principles of combat. We learned early that discarding old knowledge just because something new comes along is a recipe for vulnerability." The demonstration reached its climax as the human ships executed a maneuver that should have been impossible, their quantum-synchronized systems allowing them to coordinate attacks across multiple dimensions of spacetime. The simulated enemy force was eliminated in seconds. "I understand now," Vex Thor said quietly. "When we first encountered your ships, we thought we were seeing the full extent of your capabilities. But those visible weapons, the railguns, the missile tubes, were just the surface," Diana finished. "Literal surface, in fact. Every hull plate, every structural beam, every piece of our ships serves multiple purposes. The same railgun that fires kinetic rounds can generate electromagnetic fields or serve as a quantum entanglement anchor. The Nexari delegation huddled together, their skin patterns shifting rapidly as they conversed in their native language. When Vex Thor turned back to Diana, his expression was resolute. "Commander Rhodes, I am authorized to offer a full military alliance between our peoples. The Nexari Confederation acknowledges that we have much to learn from humanity's approach to technological integration." Diana extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. "And we have much to learn from your mastery of energy weapons, Supreme Commander. Together, we could develop systems that neither of our species could create alone." As the human and Nexari delegations began discussing the details of their alliance, Diana caught O'Neill's eye and nodded slightly. They had achieved something far more valuable than a mere tactical victory. They had proven that true advancement comes not from abandoning the past, but from finding new ways to use everything at your disposal. The future of warfare and peace would be built on the integration of all technologies, old and new, working in harmony. 6 months after the historic alliance, the combined human Nexari defense fleet assembled for its first major demonstration. The HSS Prometheus, now retrofitted with integrated Nexari technology, led the formation. The ship's hull gleamed with a new iridescent coating that masked quantum entanglement nodes beneath its surface. Commander Diana Rhodes stood on her bridge, observing the fleet's holographic display with quiet satisfaction. Beside her, Supreme Commander Vex Thor's skin rippled with anticipation. "The Galactic Council representatives have arrived," Lieutenant Potil announced. "Their diplomatic vessels are maintaining safe distance as requested." "Can't blame them for being cautious," Diana mused. "The last time two major powers merged their military technologies was over a century ago, and that didn't end well for anyone." The demonstration area sprawled across an uninhabited star system, specially prepared with sensor buoys and target drones. The assembled alien dignitaries represented every major spacefaring race, all drawn by rumors of what the human Nexari alliance had achieved. "Begin Phase 1, Diana ordered. The fleet split into precise formations, each group showcasing a different aspect of their integrated technologies. Former Nexari cruisers, their energy weapon systems now enhanced by human quantum targeting, moved in perfect synchronization with human vessels whose primitive kinetic weapons had been upgraded with Nexari power systems. "Remarkable efficiency," Vex Thor observed, watching the energy readings. "By using quantum entanglement to coordinate our power distribution, we've reduced consumption by 60%, while increasing weapon effectiveness by a factor of 3. The demonstration continued, each phase revealing new innovations. Hybrid shields that combined electromagnetic fields with Nexari energy barriers, missiles guided by quantum calculations and wrapped in Nexari stealth fields, communication systems that use both quantum entanglement and Nexari subspace technologies, creating networks that were both instantaneous and impossible to intercept. "Commander," O'Neill called out, "we're detecting unauthorized vessels entering the system. Recognition codes identify them as Drachnid warships." Diana exchanged glances with Vex Thor. The Drachnids, notorious raiders who preyed on civilian shipping lanes, must have thought the demonstration would leave the fleet vulnerable. "Well," Diana said calmly, "it seems we'll have a chance to demonstrate our capabilities in actual combat. All ships, switch to Tactical Formation Delta. Implement full integration protocols." The transformation was breathtaking. The seemingly scattered demonstration groups suddenly coalesced into a unified battle formation. Quantum entanglement nodes pulsed in harmony with Nexari power systems, creating a synchronized defense grid that covered the entire fleet. The Drachnid ships opened fire, their weapons a crude but effective mix of stolen technologies. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes lanced toward the human Nexari fleet. Not a single shot reached its target. "Show them what true integration looks like," Diana commanded. The counterattack was swift and decisive. Human kinetic weapons, their projectiles enhanced by Nexari energy fields, punched through the raiders' shields. Quantum-guided energy beams, fired from multiple ships simultaneously, arrived at their targets in perfect synchronization, overwhelming any possible defense. Their flagship is attempting to retreat, Paddle reported. Quantum tracking engage. No, Diana countermanded. Let them go. Let them spread the word about what they've seen here today. As the surviving Drachnid ships flood, the assembled diplomatic vessels moved closer, their sensors undoubtedly recording every detail. Diana knew that by tomorrow, every major power in the galaxy would be reassessing their strategic positions. A most effective demonstration, Vexthor noted, his skin patterns showing satisfaction. Though not quite the one we planned. Sometimes the best demonstrations are unplanned, Diana replied. The Drachnids just showed everyone that our alliance isn't just about combining technologies. It's about combining ways of thinking. The aftermath of the battle brought a flood of diplomatic requests. Other races, seeing the effectiveness of the human Nexari approach, were suddenly eager to discuss technology sharing agreements. But both Diana and Vexthor knew that simply copying their weapons wouldn't be enough. They don't understand yet, Diana observed as they reviewed the incoming messages. Our strength isn't in the technology itself. It's in how we learn to make everything work together. Old and new, simple and advanced, human and Nexari. Indeed, Vexthor agreed. We had to learn humility before we could learn from each other. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson we can teach. As the fleet began its return journey, Diana reflected on how far they'd come. What had started as a confrontation between primitive humans and advanced Nexari had evolved into something unprecedented, a true fusion of technologies and philosophies that had changed the face of warfare forever. The stars streaked past the viewport as the Prometheus engaged its hybrid drive, human quantum mechanics working in harmony with Nexari power systems. In the end, humanity's greatest victory hadn't come from outsmarting or outgunning their rivals, but from proving that true advancement comes from embracing all possibilities, from the simplest kinetic round to the most advanced quantum theories. And somewhere out there, the Drachnid survivors were spreading a message that would echo across the galaxy. The age of singular technological paths was over. The future belonged to those who could learn from everyone and everything.